Tim Tebow borders on an actual crush. That's a brutal place to be. And so, like, Prime is Florida State royalty, but he wanted to be the head coach there, and they passed. And that has burnt his brownies ever since it happened, and he's been hell-bent on that. And I do think he's going to leave Colorado. I think he wants to take this as far as it can go, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to achieve your ceiling and achieve your potential. Whereas I think like a guy like Dabo.
We interrupt this regularly scheduled program to bring you this special presentation from Wildcats Radio 1290. Wildcat Nation, are you ready?
Krivas turnaround, gets it off, and it rolls in for two. Oh my! KJ Lewis slams it home. Stolen away by Bradley. Caleb on a breakaway windmill jam.
Arizona basketball never sleeps.
Bear down, Cats. Our Window Depot coverage of U of A basketball begins with Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day. The pregame show is brought to you by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived. We're counting down to tip-off of Arizona basketball. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Elvis passes right to Fears, who fires for three. That's good for Oklahoma, and that's their first bucket of the ballgame. Fears switched on to Krivas. Krivas stays with him, but the reverse lay-in is good from Jeremiah Fears.
Super creative from Jeremiah Fears. Had the mismatch he loved with Krivas on him.
Up top as Oklahoma resets. 6 on the shot clock. Fears fires a long three. That's good for Jeremiah Fears, his 4th three-pointer of the game.
Jeremiah Fears, the true freshman who was supposed to go to Illinois next year, reclassified and ended up at Oklahoma this year. And man, what a find do they have for their first year in the SEC conference as he lit up the Wildcats for 26 points. The true freshman has scored 46 in the first 2 games of the battle for Atlantis. He has Oklahoma in the final after an 82-77 win on Thanksgiving Day over your number 24 Arizona Wildcats. And as a result of that, the Wildcats will play for 3rd place today in their first meeting against a team from their new conference. So much like the Arizona Wildcats football team got a little non-conference preview against Kansas State earlier this year, Arizona basketball will get a Big 12 flavor today when they take on the West Virginia Mountaineers in a game that is scheduled to start at 1 o'clock Tucson time. Hopefully we won't have any overtimes. Well, I don't think we might have overtime in our game because West Virginia is the team that's been playing all the overtime games so far. They have played overtime in both their games so far in the desert. One was a win over Gonzaga. The other was a loss yesterday to Louisville, which has them in this 3rd place game against your Arizona Wildcats. Welcome to Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day, Day 3 of the 4-day gauntlet of 3 straight basketball games backed up against tomorrow's 98th Territorial Cup game. J-Dub, has this ever happened before where the Wildcat basketball team has had an MTE backed up against the Territorial Cup game with four straight game days?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
I don't either.
Into the T-Cup. I know we've had quite a few of these 3 games and 3-day tournaments, but I don't remember, Kelvin, it backing up into the Territorial Cup like this.
No, not quite, but I almost feel like it. I mean, we've been doing it so long. I almost feel like it had to happen.
Yeah, numbers-wise, yeah.
I don't recall it. I know there's usually been some gaps, maybe in between a day or two. I don't remember there being. Because normally I think when they play over Thanksgiving, they're usually playing like Thanksgiving will be the last game, or I don't recall too many times where they've actually played this Friday game, because a lot of years the Territorial Cup game was on Friday.
I was going to say a lot of Friday Territorial Cup games as well, yeah.
Right. So 3 straight days of basketball, a 4th day of football. So bear with us if we sound a little bit hoarse, because we've been talking a lot over the course of the last 2 days, but we've got a lot in store for you, as we always do over the course of the next 3 hours. Let's tell you all about it.
Let's take a look at the Right Way Rundown and see what's coming up on our pregame show. Brought to you by Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Do things the right way.
All right, we'll take a look back at the Oklahoma game and the loss by 5 yesterday, in which the Sooners knocked down 12 three-point shots, 12 of 29, as they shot 41%, continuing a trend in which teams have been able to shoot threes against Arizona. We'll take our first look at the West Virginia Mountaineers, led by a father-son combo. In his first year, Darian DeVries, who comes over from Drake. Drake had that great run in the NCAA tournament last year, and he has brought his son Tucker along with him. A view from courtside. We'll chat with the voice of the Arizona Wildcats, Brian Jeffries. He is not with the basketball team down in Atlantis, but he is back here stateside, and we'll call the 98th Territorial Cup game coming up on Saturday. We'll get Brian's thoughts on what he's seen from the basketball team, and as well as what we can expect and on the football field tomorrow. We'll take a look at the scoreboard. Obviously, a lot of college basketball tournaments, holiday tournaments happening this week. We'll give you our pest of the game, brought to you by University Pest Control. Who'll be that Mountaineer that gets underneath the skin of the Wildcats? Spotlight on a cat. We'll shine that spotlight today on Anthony Del Orso, who has emerged at the battle for Atlantis as the scorer that we thought he maybe could be for this Arizona Wildcats club this year, with back-to-back solid games, including a 21-point performance in the Wildcats win over Davidson. Best bets, Arizona is a 6.5-point favorite in this game today with an over-under of 151.5. That's what it looks like on the big board at the Desert Diamond Casino Sportsbook. We'll dive into a little bit further into the Mountaineers and talk about a few of their talented players, including Javon Small, their guard, and Amani Hansberry, a couple of transfers that they have gotten. I mean, this is a team, basically, I think they only have one guy back from last year's team that did not play well in the first post-Bob Huggins era year. And they've totally rebuilt this thing and off to a pretty nice start. Keys to the game, starting lineups, all of that is straight ahead as we take you till 12:30 today, up until network coverage with Brody Dryden and Ryan Hansen.
Might actually start on time today.
Maybe there is only one game ahead of us, and that is the losers bracket game between Indiana and who lost that other game? I think it was Providence, right? So
correct, yeah.
Providence.
It's 33-23 currently, IU with the lead.
All right. So, and we'll also hear from Mike Woodson, the head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, on the addition of Umar Ballo, who has had a pretty nice game. Well, he had a really good game yesterday and has played extremely solidly. I don't know if they're, of course he had, the NTE was kind of Umar's breakout here back in Maui a few years ago, where where he earned the nickname Maui O. I don't know if they're calling him Bahama O or anything like that.
If they won, they would.
Right, exactly right. You gotta win to get a nickname like that, and they have not won either of their games.
Dominant. I mean, his stats from that game versus the Zags was crazy.
He shot like 80%.
He's being the center, and they got out rebounded by 17, something like that. Yeah. So it's like they lost by 20, and they got out rebounded as a team by 17. He was something like 9 for 11 from the field. He had a great game.
Yeah, he did. I think it was 11 of 13, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. To get the points that he did. But yeah, Maui O was just, that 3-game stretch he had. What was that? I guess that was 2 years ago or 3 years ago now.
First year, his first year he was here, as a player, not the redshirt year.
No, second year. So he was, because he played behind Koloko, and then and it was the second year. So that would have been 2 years ago. But yeah, he shot like 80% over those 3 games. I mean, it was something crazy like that for Umar Ballo to lead the Wildcats to that Maui championship. So great memories of him in terms of MTEs. We didn't get, there were no players made available after the game for the Arizona Wildcats, and partially Tommy Lloyd said that was due to the quick turnaround for today's game. We'll hear from Tommy Lloyd coming up a little bit later, but let's hear from Jeremiah Fears, who said that Oklahoma was absolutely not going to let Arizona get out and run on them last night.
A lot of their points came from transition offense, so we kind of made it a big point to get back and wall up. And I think we did a great job of that and slowing them down.
Now, Kelvin Efon, isn't that literally every post game from every player for the past 4 years?
Yeah, they want to stop that transition, and and a lot of times, JW, you got to get into that secondary break, as well. But they did a good job, man. They got back and made sure that we didn't get those easy buckets at the rim.
And head coach Porter, I should say, Moser, it kind of took it to a new level about how he describes what Oklahoma was trying to do to deny U of A in transition.
We were intentionally sending, at times, four back on the airtime of the basketball. But I wanted them to see the front of our jersey. I wanted them to see 8 eyes, 8 arms. A lot of times we talk about 6 eyes, 6 arms. And we said with Arizona's transition, we got to see 8 eyes, 8 arms. And people that know me know our program, that was a big Rick Majerus thing, 6 eyes, 6 arms. And we literally talked about 8 eyes, 8 arms. And, it's the players did it. They got in there and they just were really, it wasn't they were bought in, they were believing in, we've got to stop their transition.
I've not heard that terminology before, 6 eyes, 6 arms, 8 eyes, 8 arms. But again, Kelvin, you had talked about it last night, man. They were sprinting back.
Yeah, no, they were sprinting back because they understood. I mean, when you have the Caleb Loves and the KJ Lewises of the world and the Townsends, just some great athletes. So you don't want to give those guys easy buckets. You want to force them to run offense, which, if you really pay attention to our offense, it's been a little tough on our offense in half court, for a while. So as a defense, you don't want to give up those shots and let those guys get comfortable and get going, especially to Bradley, because Bradley seems to get to the rim a lot. You want to just make it tough for him at the rim and don't give them fouls either. I thought they did a great job of not sending Caleb Love to the foul line, but I also feel like he wasn't being aggressive, trying to get to the rim to make that happen.
Speaking of aggressiveness, Kelvin, sprinting back is all well and good, but sprinting up is also a thing that needs to be done. Do you see the guards pushing at that tempo that we might have seen the last few years?
The problem that I have is Jaden pushes it a little bit, but I also think when he looks back and see the numbers, every point guard is taught slow it up.
Right.
When you see the numbers. But what Coach Olsen always taught us was we always throw the pass up the court first. So that way, even if they got back, we flatten out their defense by advancing the ball to the right or to the left. So flatten out their defense means that their guys have to adjust to that side of the court, which opens up swing passes, right? That's where you get that pass to the top, then that extra pass that DK always talk about for guys wide open to knock down shots. But when guys are not confident in their shots, that's when that get back and pack the lane thing work, right? When guys are confident in their shot, if you swing that ball twice, you're going to get a wide open shot. So it kind of forces them out of it, where then now they have to do what we did against them, is get back on defense and close out to a body, which opens back up the lane.
And not to get too deep into this rabbit hole, but it's hard to overlook the impact that Azuolas Tubelis had over his time here, the 3 years, because there was no power forward in the country who could outrun him baseline to baseline, and he always rim ran. And that mismatch, because the point guard's the first back. The point guard's going to be the one on any kind of shot on their side of the court to sprint back, and his responsibility is to protect. So if you get that mismatch of power forward with point guard, Kelvin, and that seal under the rim, how many fast break points were not a matter of the guards getting crazy and getting past their man, but just pushing it fast enough to be able to find that mismatch of the big underneath the rim? Not seeing as much of that maybe this year.
All right, let's hear from Porter Moser Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore was unbelievable for the Oklahoma Sooners.
Fears moving to his right, gets a screen. Euro step, passes to the left corner. It's Moore for 3, and he hits. Jalen Moore. Fears looks ahead, gets it down to Moore under the basket in transition. He'll lay it in for 2 and 1.
What a response from Oklahoma after Arizona had cut it to 3.
K-Rock, there's a lot of big dudes, a lot of quick dudes and whatever, but that guy, that senior, imposed his physical will on every single play, especially at the offensive end.
And you heard it right there. J-Dub just said it about advancing the ball. You heard it. Brody was saying it right there. He advanced the ball up the court. Fears advanced the ball up to Moore. Easy bucket, right? And so a lot of it, that's what it is. And if you go back and notice, J-Dub, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, we will walk the ball up. We didn't advance the ball up with a pass.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and that was pretty much a full court pass that they on that particular play they threw there.
That's what I mean. Like, teams are always going to sprint back against Tommy Lloyd-led teams because that transition offense is a big part of what they're trying to do. And I'm looking at the concerted effort to push that tempo and try to get those guys back healing. They might need to speed that up a tiny bit. Now, again, there's a lot of layers to this. They started 2 for 17, guys. From the field. I mean, their first field goal came, 5 minutes into the game, something like that?
Yeah.
So at that point, you might change your mindset. Maybe you're getting a little sloppy with it. But just some easy offense. Seeing the ball go through, we talk about seeing the ball go through for guys like Caleb Love. Kelvin, if that's a layup, a minute or two into the game because you got a quick transition bucket off a defensive board, a lot of times that leads to a little bit of Caleb starts feeling himself and all of that. So getting those guys involved early with some quickness and some quick hits is going to help. And pushing the ball, like Kelvin said, best way to move the ball up the court is not by dribbling. It's a quick pass.
Jalen Moore on his strong night, 24.7 rebounds against Arizona.
Coach Porter feeding it to me, man. I'm talking about my mind right, game right, and being for the team. So I like doing my game, just being able to go out there and get myself up for this team and be aggressive for this team to win. Because I know my energy, I'm like a thermostat for this team. And I also credit my guards, Jeremiah, Duke, Dayton, and Kobe for also pouring it to me as well.
And I'm going to credit Jalen too, because you have a choice in life. You have a choice with your attitude, and he didn't get into the flow yesterday. He's such a big part of it. He had a choice. He can either get in his feelings or he can be the energy guy that he is, be great at what he's good at. He has a choice. And he chose, I'm going to be the leader I am. And that's a credit to him.
And DK, I'll say this. Oklahoma played that name on that jersey, Arizona. They played against Khalid Reeves and Jason Terry. Yeah. I mean, the attitude that they came out there with, the energy they came out there with, it was bigger than playing for a final position in the tournament down there in the battle for Atlantis. It was about playing against Arizona. They came to Oklahoma to play big name schools like Arizona. I just don't know if our guys was looking at Oklahoma that way.
And both the guys who really affected the game against Arizona yesterday, they had poor showings versus Providence. You talk about Jalen Moore only had 6 points in that game. Jeremiah Fears had 8 turnovers versus the Friars. So both those guys in a 24-hour period flipped that around. You talk about getting in your feelings. Kelvin, next game. Next game. Let's get after it. That was one game. I'm past it. Whatever happens tomorrow, happens tomorrow.
And the biggest thing was they did the most Tommy Lloyd thing ever was he stuck with him.
Yeah.
He stuck with him, DK. People, you got to stick with people. First of all, you don't have, what's that, you can't trade. You're right. Coach always says that. Coach Lloyd said, I can't trade.
Can't make trades.
I mean, this is what I got. Yeah. And that's what Coach Mosier had. I mean, these guys he had, they didn't play well, turn the ball over, but then come back versus Arizona, and you step your level up. I think Fears had a little thing with Coach Lloyd, too, because he knew him, and he knew how much Coach Lloyd
for sure that was going on.
Because, sometimes when you're going against a guy that respected you and recruited you, you want to show him that I'm really that.
Well, he also just missed out on the under-18 team, isn't that right? Like, he was in the running to make that team. And Coach Lloyd's had some really.
No, he was on it. Yeah,
he made the team.
He did
just
make the team.
Playing a lot of playing.
Yeah, he didn't get a ton of minutes, but the minutes that he did get, he was really productive with. And you talk about Jalen Moore. I mean, and Coach was talking Porter Moser there. I mean, he only played 22 minutes in that Providence game, but 36 minutes, and again, very productive in the win over the Arizona Wildcats. Yeah, and Porter Moser loved what he got from his outside shooters. They hit the boards and they kicked it back out, and I believe what the number was 8 of 10 three-pointers made in the second half of that game.
I thought we were just really sharing it. We'd get downhill and kick out. Sam Godwin, great at what he's good at. He answered the bell twice, got offensive rebounds, kicked it out threes. We practiced that. We talk about that, kicking it out for threes.
And again, you looked at what they were able to do in holding Arizona down. 17 of the first 19 shots in the game were missed. You mentioned we were just talking about Jeremiah Fears having played for Tommy Lloyd in that U18 experience this summer over at the America Cup. Jeremiah, kind of what he took away from Tommy's teachings.
It was a great experience being able to play for the USA team. Like you said, I played for him, so I kind of had a feel of their game style and what they like to do, which was ducking in early offense. So we kind of slowed that down as well, tried our best, and that's really what I learned from him and just the way they move the ball.
Yeah, that's the downside of playing for him. Yeah, because you get to recruit those guys.
Yeah.
But if you don't get them,
then
you got a guy that kind of understands a little bit about what you do, and this kid kind of shows that he's smart because he was taking notes, and getting ready and realizing, this is the way he likes to play. So I'm sure I watch Arizona. This is the way Arizona plays. If we could slow this down, it changes everything for those guys. So yeah, man. And only thing I wish Coach would have did, and I was doing the game I was watching is, did we ever double him?
Right.
Did we ever double him?
I don't think so.
I mean, there were some hedges on the high ball stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking about double, though. I want to double him and force the ball out of his hand. I just felt like we should have been face guarding him full court. I feel like, he walked the ball up and got free lanes to pass the ball wherever he wanted. I just wanted to be a little bit more aggressive with him because he was a freshman. He draw 8 fouls, man. I mean, he got 8 free throws. Caleb got 0. That just can't happen because we always say in the neighborhood, the team that gets to the basket the most, is going to win. And because you're going to get layups and you're going to draw the defense and you're going to be able to make those passes out for easy buckets. And we need Caleb being that threat because he's the guy that can really suck the defense in and because of his threat to score. Right now, I don't think we have any other guys because when you see Jaden Bradley goes to the basket, he don't really draw guys. They kind of play him one-on-one. Right. But to me, Love is that guy. Love is that guy. And I understand that he's a 2-guard and he's a combo guard. But a part of being a combo guard is you have to understand when you have to use your ability to get past guys to set other guys up.
I just think it's establishing aggressiveness. Like if there's one thing we're looking at from these losses, 3 losses in 4 games, Kelvin, it's just maybe a lack of forcing the issue offensively, right? And that's a part of drawing fouls. I mean, you talk about the guard play, shying away from that contact. If you're doing that early, if you're establishing physicality early in the game, it just changes the whole momentum.
And I'll just say this one thing. What is the way that a coach makes sure that happens? Do you do what Porter Moser do and tell the guy go left and call the screen and let him get downhill to his right hand and that's the play and that's what I'm calling and you have to get into the paint or you're not running my offense? That's what he did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all they did every play. They went to the left. He dribbled over to the left. A lot of time right-hand guys, we like to dribble to the left to act like we're going left, but all along we're going back right. The screen coming back to my right side. I'm getting off that. I'm going to the corner hard, putting my head down like a running back. That's why a lot of times they like the football players, the guys that have that talent, because you're putting your head down, being physical, trying to get to that rim, knowing that if they bump me, I'm at the line.
It's funny you say that because one of the old adages in football is like, if the play works last time, you're going to do it again.
SOS.
You're going to do it again until they stop it. And so the same thing applies a lot. It's much more of an NBA style of thing. Guys hot, you're going to keep going to them over and over and over again until they stop it. But in a situation like that where Fears was just using those high ball screens and do whatever he wanted to, you got to mix it up somehow and getting them uncomfortable, especially
Zone,
a 17-year-old.
I think zone would have hurt him. But I know we're not going to do none of that. I'm not suggesting
I'm
not suggesting it either.
But
I thought we could have pressed.
The full court press stuff was nice. They did a lot of what was that, like a 1-3-1 kind of deal, like where they're trapping on the baseline, trapping on the sidelines, that whole thing. That worked, and that sped him up a bit and got him uncomfortable.
It did.
520-848-1290. It is Meridian Wealth Management, Arizona Game Day. You can interact with the show by way of phone, by way of text on our mobile app, Wildcats Radio 1290. You can interact there with a text or with audio. Record yourself talking Arizona basketball and just drop it into our audio file on our app. You can also take a video of you and your buddies talking Arizona Wildcat. Heck, take a video of y'all watching the game today and drop it in on our app. We'll share it on our social
What about a
media
video
platforms.
celebrating the Cowboys' first home win?
There you go. Hey, all right. The captain is happy about that. Finally.
I kept wearing it. When we losing is when you're going to see it the most.
Right.
When we're losing is when you're going to see that Cowboys hat the most. That's when I have to put the double down.
There you go. You got to rep it. You got to rep it for sure. Meridian Wealth Management, Arizona Game Day. We'll hear from the head coach, Tommy Lloyd. After the game, there were some issues with the Zoom in the Bahamas last night. Maybe the Zoom had too much turkey, but we did get some sound through our guy, Bruce Pasco, who's covering the games down there for the Arizona Daily Star. So we'll let you hear what the head coach had to say. Along with Kelvin Ifan and J.W. Madden, I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Our Window Depot coverage of Arizona basketball is just getting started. This is Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day. Hour 1 of the pregame show is brought to you by Desert Diamond Casinos, First Chiropractic, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing, Restaurant Supply Store, Royal GMC Buick and Cadillac, Royal Kia, Royal Jaguar Land Rover, the Polston Results Team with Keller Williams Southern Arizona, the Window Depot, and by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
Hey homeowners, are you ready to chill out and go green? Goodfellas Air Conditioning can help. Introducing our latest lineup of energy-efficient systems featuring the new R32 refrigerant. It's cooler, greener, and better for the planet. You'll enjoy lower energy bills and a smaller carbon footprint. Not a fan of change? Goodfellas has a surplus of reliable R410 systems available. Unsure about what system you have or have questions? Give us a call for a free inspection. Goodfellas Air Conditioning, keeping it cool, keeping it green, and always keeping you comfortable.
Does it feel like the price of everything is going up, up, up? We can't control the price of gas or groceries, but at Royal Kia, we never add market adjustments, even while other dealers add fees because inventory is limited. At Royal Kia, you can rest assured you won't pay market adjustments, and we stand by our transparent online pricing. Royal Kia, the dealership that's different. OAC plus tax, title, license, dealer-installed options, and $529 dock fee. Royal Kia, Speedway in Columbus or royalkia.com.
Sean Furrier here for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, a proud sponsor of Arizona Athletics since 1968. And this year, the Wildcats are driving into the Big 12. But we've been down this road before. From the WAC to the PAC, it's never been about the conference. It's always been about the Wildcats. And you can count on the Cats. And you can count on Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care for the very best deals on tires and award-winning auto care. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, since 1960, we're here to get you there. Go Cats!
Experiencing the natural wonders comes easy at Rockin' K. Nestled at the base of the Rincon Mountain foothills, enjoy stunning mountain views up close every day. Visit Lennar's 2 communities in Rockin' K, with home savings up to $25,000 and limited time interest rate and closing cost incentives on select move-in ready homes. LiveRockingK.com. Designed by nature. Proud U of A radio broadcast sponsor.
All right, she's inside. Are you good?
Yeah. It's just, she's my baby girl, you know?
I do, and ceramic coating was a good choice.
She's beautiful.
Yep, I know.
Recon Auto Detailing. Enhance or restore your baby to her former glory with paint recondition, ceramic coating, paint protection, tinting, and more for full protection of your vehicle inside and out. New cars, old cars, we love them all. Recon Auto Detailing, 3829 North Oracle Road, Tucson. ReconDetail.com.
Do you often worry you left your garage door open? With the LiftMaster Garage Door Opener powered by MyQ, you'll never worry again. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage from your smartphone anytime from anywhere through the MyQ app. As an authorized LiftMaster dealer, we have smart openers designed for your needs, including belt drive motors for ultra-quiet operation, integrated camera for live video streaming, and battery backup that lets you in when the power is out. The team at Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates are your locally owned LiftMaster professionals. Visit KaiserGarage.com to learn more.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
It's November and the weather is cooling down. Now is the time to have your furnace serviced to ensure that it's operating safe and efficient. We also have a $79 garbage disposal service. And check out our monthly plumbing specials on our website. Call Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing for all your plumbing and heating needs at 520-492-0748 or picturerockscooling.com.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing.
Make Dave & Buster's a part of your weekly rituals. Military Monday, get extra gameplay on your card. Tuesday night is Trivia Night with great prizes. Thursday is extra credit with student discounts on gameplay after 9 p.m. Stop in Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for lunch specials. Want more? Rewards members will get an extra 100 chips with the purchase of 100 chips and Sunday sips for hospitality workers. Full and quick service restaurants, hotels, and amusement parks. Discounted beverages and apps after 9 p.m. only at Dave & Buster's.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. You're listening to the flagship of Arizona Wildcats athletics. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Our Window Depot coverage of U of A basketball continues. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290. Now back to your hosts, David Kelly, the Captain Kelvin Ifan, and J.W. Madden. Our first look at today's Arizona men's basketball game is brought to you by The Window Depot. Lowest prices and biggest inventory. Shop thewindowdepot.com.
Arizona and West Virginia today down in Paradise. The final game, the third place game. Sixth all-time meeting between these two teams. Arizona leads the series 3-2. Last time they got together was right before I got to town. That would have been in March of 2008. That was in the NCAA tournament. But West Virginia beat Arizona 75-65
Also
in D.C.
known as the Kevin O'Neal year.
Yeah, exactly. So these matchups against NCAA teams have not gone well this week. for the Wildcats. They lost again on a neutral floor to Oklahoma. That's now 4 times that's happened in history, and now they get a West Virginia team who beat them on a neutral floor the last time. These two teams. This will be the third meeting, in fact, on a neutral floor. However, Arizona beat West Virginia in Honolulu, Hawaii, all the way back in 1958.
My favorite, DK, is the 68 year they played. I looked it up.
Okay.
4 Tucsonans on the roster and 4 Phoenicians on the roster. 8 Arizona-born players on the men's basketball team at the University of Arizona.
Wow.
Think about that. This is right before the Kiddie Corps.
This is in 1968.
68.
Wow.
So right before the Kiddie Corps, right? Right before that whole era where the Detroit-Chicago pipeline. So that was all homegrown. That was more Arizona-born players on that Arizona Wildcats roster than non-Arizona-born players.
And I would imagine that's probably the most since.
Probably the most since. Yeah, probably.
I can't imagine there's been that many since that time.
Yeah, that recruiting budget probably wasn't that big at the time.
Fred Snowden got here, and they got a little bit more money to go out and get some kids. All right, let's hear from the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats, Tommy Lloyd, courtesy of our guy Bruce Pasco, who was able to, through Nate Witchers, the SID for the basketball team, get us some post-game because the Zoom call did not go as planned. Let's hear from Tommy, especially he talks here about KJ Lewis and his technical issues. Let's hear from the coach.
I'm going to tip my hat to Oklahoma. I mean, they came out and put us in some tough situations, and they kind of got a lead early, and our offense took a while to get going tonight, which is kind of been a trend in some of these tougher games, and we got to figure that out. If your offense can kind of keep you in as you're figuring out your defense, then you're not playing from behind. And unfortunately today we were playing from behind, and we made some rallies, but it seemed like they answered every one. They hit some really big shots, and I thought 14 for them played great. I mean, he just physically, his athleticism and his effort on the glass, and he made a couple of shots was just really a difference maker. And obviously Fears was tremendous. I mean, he played an amazing game tonight.
How much of that? I mean, Oklahoma and Porter Moser is known for his defense. I mean, how much of that early was what they were doing? Were they doing any?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I think they were probably being a little more physical than our guys anticipated, which is disappointing. I mean, we're a team that loves to bump and grind and be physical, and we had some shots around the rim that we missed early, and there wasn't a lot of fouls called, which is fine.
I recognize you have a game again tomorrow. You got to get ready for. How do you sort of
pull
kind
of open
your
up
team
a little
together
bit
from the defensive performances in particular, just guys maybe losing?
I just wish we would have played that sense of urgency a little earlier.
Yeah, and then they, like you said, they answered it a lot. I mean, do you feel like they had a lot of threes in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they put us in some tough situations. Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I think they were probably being a little more physical than our guys anticipated, which is disappointing. I mean, we're a team that loves to bump and grind and be physical, and we had some shots around the rim that we missed early, and there wasn't a lot of fouls called, which is fine. So yeah, then we kind of opened it up a little bit offensively when we got in a little bit more of a desperate mode. I just wish we would have played that sense of urgency a little earlier.
Yeah, and then they, like you said, they answered it a lot. I mean, do you feel like they had a lot of threes in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they put us in some tough situations, with coverages, and they hit some big shots. Maybe some of those threes are shots you're going to kind of live with the attempt, and they make them. But other ones, they were, kind of subbing in and out different lineups, and they played a pick-up pop five. It's crazy. This kid hasn't played much in the last couple of days. He's made some big shots, but made his stroke looks legit and puts you in some tough situations. And, with the short prep, we were kind of on skates a little bit, and whether he made the shot or it created a scenario where the next guy made a shot, or a matchup where a guy, had a bigger guy on him and was able to take advantage of it.
Was there any other thing that jumped out at you other than they just hit some big shots that, why you guys had a lot of shots that pulled close but never really that extended run?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like on the glass, I thought they were more physical on the glass. We didn't do a great job blocking them out, and that's disappointing. I mean, we're a great rebounding team, but to be a great rebounding team, you got to do it night in and night out, and especially because our stats are good, so the other team's really going to emphasize that, and I don't know if our guys are heeding that message well enough. I mean, today I thought that we kind of got out physical on some of those big ones, and listen. You play good defense, you get a stop, they give up an offensive rebound, move a hit a three, it's deflating. And, we got to be better there.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Caleb and Anthony particularly? Caleb coming back after, struggling.
Caleb, yeah, I mean, he didn't get off to a great start, but he battled back and gave us a chance. And, I don't know, did we have a shot down three? Were we down three with a shot to tie it?
Yes.
I think we were, yeah. I mean, we had multiple shots on that possession, and, you're just trying to hang close. I mean, I know you're grasping at straws a little bit, but, we gave ourselves a chance. We hung in there, and gave ourselves a chance. And, I'll credit the guys for that, but listen, our standard's winning. And yeah, I mean, this hurts, but unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, we don't got time to dwell on it. We got to get back tomorrow. We play a good West Virginia team, and all our focus needs to go there, so no one has time to hang their heads.
One thing about players, KJ, was that technical? Was that a celebration thing again?
Yeah, I mean, it's so disappointing. I mean, KJ's got to do better. He's got to do better. Now, I love him. I'm going to hang with him. He's an emotional guy, but you just don't do that to your team. I mean, you just don't put your team in that position over and over again. And I mean, like, to me, when we celebrate, we should be celebrating together for us. You don't celebrate against the other team. I mean, that's not winning. Winning is celebrating together. So, we've talked about it, but, unfortunately, some of these old habits die hard. And, we're going to continue to have conversations about it. And if it gets to the point where, I have to start disciplining, I will.
Because I wondered if part of it with him was just a little bit having a tough night for him, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't speak to the specifics of the incident. Just don't do it. That's the number one thing. Don't do it. I think we cut the game to 2. Right? I think 2. Yeah, around 2 when he makes that shot. Let's go get a stop. We have a run. Now they get to go. It's up to 4, and the momentum stops, and then they get to kind of reset. They get to call a set down. They don't got to go against the press. All those things it's just so disappointing.
Yeah, you've had that. I mean, I remember Delhi had that one in an exhibition.
Too many. We've had too many.
Right.
We've had too many. Delhi's wasn't a celebration, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, you mentioned West Virginia. Does it feel weird being as you're going to face them in the Big 12?
I mean, not really, because I've never been in the same conference with them. So we're just going to approach it like, any other game in the tournament. I mean, maybe it'll feel different, if we have to play them 3 times this year, you know what I mean? Like the 3rd time, but for this first one, there's no difference.
Yeah. I mean, do you know anything about them at this point? Or?
Yeah, I mean, of course we've been preparing for them. I mean, they got a great guard, they got a great skilled guy, and they looks like they got role players that know what they're doing. Their coach is doing a great job controlling the game. It's going to be an amazing challenge. I mean, come on, they've been here battling. They've lost 2 games in overtime. They beat the 3rd-ranked team in the country. I mean, we got our hands full.
Because you already had, I mean, some of your systems are already kind of broken down.
Yeah, we have people doing advanced stuff and looking at it for sure.
And then one final thing, just when you're like tonight, or you guys stay away from the heavy Thanksgiving stuff? Or?
Yeah, I mean, our guys, I don't know what they'll have in the post-game meal, but we're not doing a traditional.
All right, that is the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats. We'll dive in a little bit later to what he had to say there about KJ Lewis, but that is our initial deep dive into Arizona and West Virginia.
That's been our first look at today's Arizona men's basketball game. Brought to you by The Window Depot. Lowest prices and biggest inventory. Shop thewindowdepot.com.
And don't forget, Window Depot also sponsors Arizona's top rebounding performance every night. It's the Window Depot glass cleaner of the game. Might be the Wildcat with the most rebounds. Could be the U of A star with the most impactful boards. We'll tell you the Window Depot glass cleaner of the game coming up tonight. Meridian Wealth Management, Arizona Game Day post-game show. We'll chat with Brian Jeffries. A view courtside coming up next. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
The Window Depot is more than a window store. The Window Depot is a one-stop warehouse with everything you need for your complete home remodel. Shop the aisles of pre-built cabinets in a variety of colors, granite and quartz countertops, sinks, skylights, and hardware to complete your project. Need a custom order? We can help. Our designers offer free design services and can special order everything you need for your kitchen or bathroom remodel today. Shop thewindowdepot.com or find a location near you. The Window Depot, more than a window store.
Hi, this is Peter Costa, former governor of the New York Stock Exchange and proud member of the Advisory Business Council with Meridian Wealth Management. One thing I've learned over 40 years on the floor is the value of a trusting relationship with your financial advisor. After all, everyone is a genius when the markets are going up, but when they drop, that's when the guidance of a professional is most important. For more information about Meridian, call 719-1433 or visit online at meridianwealthllc.com.
Advisory services provided by Meridian Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor.
As Arizona's leading personal injury law firm for more than 35 years, Goldberg & Osborne agrees. Bear down, Arizona. With offices statewide, including Tucson and Sierra Vista, the Eagle gives you home field advantage. More than 2,200 five-star Google reviews prove Goldberg & Osborne has the playbook for any situation. So after an accident, let the attorneys voted best personal injury law firm 4 years in a row tackle that insurance company and get you the settlement you deserve. Goldberg & Osborne, 1-800-THE-EAGLE.
Driving the lane, dunking on the competition, and playing as a team. These are things we'll see this season watching our Wildcats play basketball. These happen to be the things you'll also find when you buy your next vehicle from O'Reilly Chevrolet. The only difference is at O'Reilly, nobody gets penalized for traveling. Heck, we actually encourage it. See us on Broadway next to Park Place Mall. Call 747-8000 or find new roads at O'Reilly.com where you can experience our version of a steal. O'Reilly Chevrolet, more than a great price.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Don't hold back. Just dive right in. This is Desert Diamond. The round-the-clock, off-the-charts, over-the-top spectacle that puts a shine on any day, anytime. The tables are hot to the touch. The slots are spinning winners every day. And the point spreads are yours for the taking. So go ahead. Live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino. Visit ddcaz.com.
An enterprise of the Donna Ogden Nation.
Honey, our yard's full of weeds. Looks like a jungle and the neighbors are complaining.
I know. I'm trying to get rid of them, but the product I'm using, it doesn't work.
Oh.
Not to mention, I don't have the time.
But it's not just weeds.
Not?
No, I'm seeing ants.
Ants?
Yeah, and spiders.
Ooh, spiders.
I know, and I think I saw a scorpion.
No way.
Yes way, and there's a pack rat in our garage.
Ew. Okay, I'll call University Termite and Pest Control today. We'll get rid of all of them.
Okay, honey, thank you.
University Termite and Pest Control, locally owned. Find them online at bepestfree.com.
Are you facing plumbing problems and need a reliable solution? Whether it's a leaky faucet, a clogged drain, or an upgrade to a tankless water heater, Rightway has you covered. And for a limited time only, we're offering 10% off your next repair or installation. Don't let plumbing issues ruin your day. Call Rightway at 520-276-2775. We'll get a plumber to your door. If it's worth doing, do it the right way.
Sean Furrier here for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, a proud sponsor of Arizona Athletics since 1968. And this year, the Wildcats are driving into the Big 12. But we've been down this road before. From the WAC to the PAC, it's never been about the conference. It's always been about the Wildcats. And you can count on the Cats. And you can count on Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care for the very best deals on tires and award-winning auto care. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Since 1960, we're here to get you there. Go Cats!
Our Window Depot coverage of U of A basketball continues. This is the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show on Wildcats Radio 1290. Now back to your hosts, David Kelly, the Captain Kelvin Ifan, and J.W. Madden. It's time now to take you down the front row of the arena. A view from courtside is brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser, celebrating 25 years serving Southern Arizona.
All right, he is not courtside this week in the Bahamas, but he is stateside, and he'll be high atop Arizona Stadium on Saturday for the 98th meeting between the Wildcats and the Sun Devils. It is the Territorial Cup game. He is the voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries. And Brian, well, you'll know because I'll ask you. I don't recall. I've been here. This is year 17. I don't recall a MTE that backed directly up against a Territorial Cup game where we had 4 straight game days. Has this happened? I know there's been MTEs generally during this time of the year, but I don't ever remember it being 4 days in a row.
Yeah, it's unusual because Maui runs Monday through Wednesday. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. I know we've been to Anaheim. Same thing. We did have, I think Anaheim, we had kind of a back and forth, if I remember right. But no, it's unusual. And, you know, that's just the way the scheduling goes these days. And you take what they ask you to do. And, you know, the Wildcats are in that situation for basketball and football. And that's the new norm, I guess. So you have to be expecting anything when it comes to scheduling these days.
What have you just kind of watching these basketball games from afar? Obviously, you know, you get a win on in the game number 1 and a tremendous performance from Anthony Del Orso, but the Wildcats obviously continue to have problems guarding the three-point line, and that's been kind of a dilemma in a lot of these losses.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not privy to, you know, looking inside that and figuring out exactly, you know, what's going on. Are the other teams just red hot? I mean, sometimes that's it. You know, when they play Arizona, they seem to be keyed up for those games. I've seen that for many years, but you know, they've in Arizona's 3 losses, they've given up what an average. I think the opponents, the number I remember, they've given up 33 made threes in the 3 losses. So that's 11 a game, and that's a lot. So you've got to clamp down on your, you know, perimeter defense. There's no question about that. And, you know, I'm just going back watching practice in October and so on, and I know defense was really stressed by Tommy Lloyd, so it does surprise me a little bit. Give the other teams credit. They get hot, and, you know, that happened at Wisconsin. It certainly happened yesterday. Duke didn't have a great day shooting threes, but they found other ways to score. I think they made 6, so yeah, Arizona's got to find a way to, you know, clamp down on that perimeter defense because, you know, other teams will see that now and try and exploit it as the season goes on.
Obviously, this is uncharted territory for this program under Tommy Lloyd. So much success has been had in the early portions of the season, having never lost games in November, having never lost back-to-back games. I mean, Tommy's a very kind of even-keeled type of guy, but you know that this is – but he's also admitted at times that he is a grinder. I mean, he's a guy that grinds, and sometimes he doesn't sleep well after these losses. So you know this has got to be eating at him.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, because of the program's history and you know what he's done in his time here, yeah, he's very well knows what's expected of being the head coach of the Arizona basketball team. But I'll also add that it's early in the season, and like we see a lot of times these days, you have a huge roster turnover now, and so it's just going to take a little more time, I think, for these guys to gel. You know, Mo Krivas is still not 100%. He played pretty well last night, but you can see that, you know, it's going to take him a few more weeks before he's back to where they want him to be physically. I think the bench play has been a little bit up and down. You mentioned Del Orso. Well, you know, he's had 2 really good, and that's good to see. He's had 2 solid games now. down in the Bahamas. Prior to that, he really hadn't shown a lot. I'm not trying to pick on him, but inconsistent bench play, I think, is one thing that, has hurt the Wildcats here early on in the season. Who's going to come in? And you could say the thing for the starters. I mean, there's been some inconsistencies there in terms of guys, having their average and not, struggling or not. And you've got to find that level where, everybody's, you want everybody to score their average and rebound their average. And if you do that, you've got a good chance to be successful. And at the same time, you can't expect those guys to go out and play at that level every game when you play 30-plus games a season. So I think to me, it's just a matter now of some of these new guys kind of, figuring this out, blending into the system, finding consistency, I think, at every position on the court right now. And once they get to that point, then they're going to be a much better basketball team. But it's still early, and I think, today this is big. I mean, you don't want to go 1-2. And now you're playing a Big 12 team that you're going to see in January. This is a great indicator, I think, how the Wildcats conference season could go.
We're joined by the voice of the Wildcats, Brian Jeffries. It is your view from courtside, brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser, serving Arizona now for more than 25 years. Territorial Cup football game coming up Saturday with a 1:30 kickoff, national television on Fox on Saturday from the stadium. Brian, what most excites you about this week, this game, when it's here in Tucson?
Well, because it's the biggest game of the year, regardless of teams' records. There's just so much that goes into a rivalry game, and I've been to some other rivalry games before, and they're all exciting for different reasons. And I think this one, because of the fact that you got two in-state teams and really only two in-state teams that play at this level, that there's just so much pride that's on the line for both sides, and the state's kind of split in half. The southern half is Arizona, the northern half is ASU, and of course you've got some mingling in between. But it's just something that the players talk about all year long, and the fans talk about all year long. And like I said, it doesn't matter what the records are. It's very emotional. That's the big part of it. And I think that's the key on Saturday. Tomorrow is going to be, who can check their emotions. They're going to be there when that game starts, but the team that can kind of, and Kelvin could certainly speak to that you can't avoid the emotional part of this. But at the same time, you still got to go out and execute your game plan if you want to win.
Yeah, you definitely do have to go out and execute that game plan. It's tough, when you taking losses in a tournament like this, but you have to put it back together and get it done at the end of the day, because you got a season that's coming up. You playing a team you're going to have to see again in conference. So right now you want to set that attitude and make sure they understand. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Well, you're good at both.
The Territorial Cup. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but you're right though. I understand that ASU football game right there. I mean, I've been in that game, so many times. But you do have to put it together and put those emotions together and understand that, like, no stupid penalties on the field, but you have to come together as a team to really be able to win this game.
And that's exactly why you see teams with the lesser record win a number of these games in the rivalry. I mean, on paper, tomorrow, Arizona State is the better team. They've got the better record. They've got better statistics in a lot of categories and probably favored to win the game, and deservedly so. But that doesn't mean they will. I mean, I've looked back at some recent games. I mean, Arizona twice, back in the 80s, they denied ASU a Rose Bowl berth. They denied them a Pac-12 or Pac-10 championship at that time. They kept them from, they denied an unbeaten season. Even 2016, I mean, ASU had to win to become bowl eligible, and Arizona won that game going away and denied that. And so those are the type of things you look back and say, okay, that's why it's a rivalry, and that's why it doesn't matter what your record is when you go into this game.
Chatting with Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Arizona Wildcats. Your view from courtside brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser is serving Arizona now for more than 25 years. Brian, do you have any ASU friends at all? Do you have any folks that partake on the other side?
I've just probably a couple on the personal side, but I'll say this: as much as there is, the rivalry and everything. The people that work at ASU that I deal with annually, I consider them friends. I mean, I want Arizona to win every game against ASU. I don't care what sport, what year. But it doesn't mean that I dislike a lot of the people that I get a chance to work with up there. My counterpart, Tim Healy, is a great guy. And so, we get along fine. And he's probably the same as me. He wants the Sun Devils to win, but that doesn't, cloud our friendship.
Is it good for, and I don't know how you view this, obviously, who would have thought that a year after Arizona went up there and beat them by whatever it was, 36 points, that they would be a 9-point favorite coming in here the following year? Is that good for football? Is that bad for football that teams can flip their perspective so easily? I mean, the Sun Devils were picked to finish 16th in Las Vegas, but here they are with a chance to potentially win the Big 12 conference and go to the college football playoff. I would imagine that most people view that that's good for the game.
Well, it's the transfer portal era now, and all you have to do is look at ASU's roster. I mean, how many guys? I've looked up and down their roster. How many transfers that they have playing tomorrow? I mean, if you look back at last year's game, I think ASU has 3 starters on defense back, and everybody else, transferred from another school. And so that's how you can turn things around. You can go either way because of the portal. If you make good choices in the portal, then you've got a chance to turn a tough season into a good season. At the same time, if you make poor chances in the portal, you have a chance to slide back the other way. So coaches now, there's a new way of evaluating talent. Because now you expect guys to come in and play and probably start right away, where the old days, you brought them in as a freshman and you kind of work them up, and then you hope they get better as a sophomore, junior, and a senior. It's not that way anymore. It's instant turnaround. That's the only way that it can be used. And like I said, it makes the coach's job a lot tougher. And that's why the emotional part of tomorrow's game, to me, is going to be very interesting, because most of the guys playing in this game, you could count on 2 rosters, and I'm guessing, again, they're going to put everybody in uniform, of course, so all these guys aren't going to play. I think you're going to have close to 100 players in uniform tomorrow that have never played in this game. Wow. And I'm talking about walk-ons, etc. But it goes back to the transfer portal where you bring new guys in. So how will those emotions play out? Guys that didn't know anything about this rivalry, maybe until this week, how will they? Will their emotions be the same as those guys? Like Josh Baker, who's been around here forever, and even Noah Fafita and Tetro McMillan. They played in this game before, and ASU's got some guys like that too. But it's almost on the minority now of the number of players that have been in this rivalry for several years. So I'm really interested to see, what's the buildup been like for this? Because you can talk about it all you want, but if you're somebody that hasn't played in it before, what's your mindset going into this game? I mean, you want to win. I think that's the bottom line. And so if you can do that, you got a chance to be successful. But like I said, the emotional part of this thing, I'm going to see. I think it's going to be very interesting to see tomorrow.
And I was going to say, being played in that game many a time, needing a win to get to a bowl game, it comes down to that attitude of understanding from the older guys, being able to talk, guys, not necessarily just older seniors, but guys that have been in this game, trying to get through to those guys what it's like to lose that game. If you lose that game, or the feeling to win in that game, you guys have to make sure you tell those guys, like, look, man, this is not like any other game of the year. Throw out the records. I mean, it just does not matter. I mean, we were in games with those guys when Trung had the big game where Trung was scoring every time, and I look up, they're scoring again. I'm like, what is going on here? So it's just going to be one of those type of days that where, again, the older guys got to let those younger guys know that, like, hey, this is one you're going to remember when you're older. I barely remember some of the other games, but I remember my record versus the ASU.
Yeah, well, and that's it. And maybe, Calvin, it's going to take a while into the game. Maybe the emotions aren't going to, well, they always flow before the game, but maybe it's going to take a while when we get into that game, when the new guys understand, because you know what the hitting's going to be like in this game tomorrow, and that's going to wake up. They're going to realize probably after a series or two what this series is about if they didn't know it already.
Yes.
Hey, Brian, we appreciate you as always. Get back to building those boards, and have a great call of the 98th Territorial Cup game on Saturday.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
We hope you enjoyed your view from courtside. It was brought to you by Kaiser Garage Door and Gates. Kaiser, celebrating 25 years serving Southern Arizona.
All right, much more coming up for you straight ahead. We've got 1 hour in the books, 2 more left to go. Meridian Wealth Management, Arizona Game Day. We'll update your scoreboard. The first game of the day is in the second half down at the Battle for Atlantis, and a whole lot more with Calvin Ifan and J.W. Madden. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Our Window Depot coverage of Arizona basketball is just getting started. This is Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day. Hour 1 of the pregame show is brought to you by Desert Diamond Casinos, First Chiropractic, Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care, Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating and Plumbing, Restaurant Supply Store, Royal GMC Buick and Cadillac, Royal Kia, Royal Jaguar Land Rover, the Polston Results Team with Keller Williams Southern Arizona, the Window Depot, and by Meridian Wealth Management. Wealth well managed, life well lived.
Experiencing the natural wonders comes easy at Rockin' K. Nestled at the base of the Rincon Mountain foothills, enjoy stunning mountain views up close every day. In the top-rated Vail School District, Rockin' K is close to work, shopping, and services. Tour 18 model homes by top-tier builders offering move-in ready homes and special incentives. LiveRockingK.com. Proud U of A radio broadcast sponsor.
Does it feel like the price of everything is going up, up, up? We can't control the price of gas or groceries, but at Royal Kia, we never add market adjustments, even while other dealers add fees because inventory is limited. At Royal Kia, you can rest assured you won't pay market adjustments, and we stand by our transparent online pricing. Royal Kia, the dealership that's different. OAC plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and $529 doc fee. Royal Kia, Speedway in Columbus or RoyalKia.com.
As Arizona's leading personal injury law firm for more than 35 years, Goldberg & Osborne agrees. Bear down, Arizona. With offices statewide, including Tucson and Sierra Vista, the Eagle gives you home field advantage. More than 2,200 five-star Google reviews prove Goldberg & Osborne has the playbook for any situation. So after an accident, let the attorneys voted best personal injury law firm 4 years in a row tackle that insurance company and get you the settlement you deserve. Goldberg & Osborne, 1-800-THE Eagle.
Get your backyard summer ready with a custom pool from First Choice Pools. A backyard oasis built around you. First Choice is a full-service builder of beautiful in-ground pools and backyard designs for years of staycations. If you want to dive in this summer, now is the time to visit TucsonPoolBuilder.com. First Choice Pools for installs, renovation, remodeling, and repair. Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. Ask about our 60-day pool. To be summer ready, First Choice is the only choice.
The garage is more than a place to park your car. It holds prized possessions, and for most, it's a bustling entryway to the home. That's why LiftMaster designed the first ever opener with a built-in wide-angle camera and two-way audio, so you can see what matters and secure what's inside. Ensure your family and prized possessions are secure with a reliable garage door opener that's built to last and powered by MyQ for smartphone control. The team at Kaiser Garage Doors and Gates are your locally owned LiftMaster professionals. Visit KaiserGarage.com to learn more.
All the who's down in Tucson like great deals a lot, but the Grinch who lived on top of Mount Lemmon did not. But he went to O'Reilly for the holidays to trade in his sleigh, and the price he got from his trade grew 5 times that day. This holiday season, come to the dealership even a Grinch can love. We're on Broadway next to Park Place Mall. Call 747-8000 or check us out at O'Reilly.com. Because at O'Reilly Chevrolet, we prefer that you visit us live. See us this holiday season, and together, let's drive.
My heat and air were in a state of disrepair.
It's November and the weather is cooling down. Now is the time to have your furnace serviced to ensure that it's operating safe and efficient. We also have a $79 garbage disposal service. And check out our monthly plumbing specials on our website. Call Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing for all your plumbing and heating needs at 520-492-0748 or PictureRocksCooling.com.
Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Honey, our yard's full of weeds. Looks like a jungle and the neighbors are complaining.
I know. I'm trying to get rid of them, but the product I'm using, it doesn't work.
Oh.
Not to mention, I don't have the time.
But it's not just weeds.
It's not?
No, I'm seeing ants.
Ants?
Yeah, and spiders.
Ooh, spiders.
I know, and I think I saw a scorpion.
No way.
Yes way, and there's a pack rat in our garage.
Ew. Okay, I'll call University Termite and Pest Control today. We'll get rid of all of them.
Okay, honey, thank you.
University Termite and Pest Control, locally owned. Find them online at bepestfree.com.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We have the Arizona Wildcats covered on game day like no one else. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Wildcat Nation, are you ready?
Priebus turnaround, gets it off, and it rolls in for two. Oh my! KJ Lewis slams it home. Stolen away by Bradley. Caleb on a breakaway windmill jam.
Arizona basketball never sleeps.
Bear down, Cats. Our Window Depot coverage of U of A basketball continues. The Meridian Wealth Management Arizona Game Day pregame show is brought